here's Brody Brazil.
I absolutely promise you it's never my intention to be a conspiracy theorist. But based on some recent events with the NBA, knowing what we remember from the 90s and understanding what has just transpired kind of again with the league in covering up a gambling investigation and a suspension, I understand why people are rehashing the idea that maybe back in the day Michael Jordan was actually suspended by the NBA, and that's why he went to pursue baseball for about a year's time. Now, I was much younger when this happened. It wasn't really on my mind. Back in the early 90s, I didn't know what to think, and we didn't evaluate and think about stories like this and the same critical nature that we do here in 2025. But could it really be? And I don't want to accelerate this. I don't want to make it sound like I'm behind this and this is what I believe. So what I want to do in this video is kind of break down some thoughts of all aspects. Some people who think that may what have happened. Some people who don't think that happened. I want to kind of give some thoughts both ways and just evaluate what we know. This is the tweet recently that I saw that kind of rekindled my entire interest on this, because I'll be very honest. Again, in the early 90s, and when this was all going down, I was 12 and maybe 13 years old. I didn't really comprehend fully what this looked like in the bigger picture. And this tweet by McNeil, I don't even know who this is, but the way it says, the way the league used to handle gambling issues. They sent Michael Jordan off to go play baseball for more than a season. And it struck me like a ton of bricks. Could this have been the reason that Michael Jordan went to go play baseball? Did it have nothing to do with the stress of being a superstar and where he was in life? And I know his father passed away. We'll get into all this in just a second, but was it actually because the league suspended him and didn't want to say they suspended him and covered this up? Maybe how they were trying to cover up the Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups investigation. Like, could that possibly be? So all this got me thinking, and now I want to evaluate and address some things we do know and some things that people put out there. Let me kind of give you the yays and nays of both sides here. Michael Jordan announced his retirement the first time from basketball on October 6, 1993. This was 1 month before the Bulls season opener. And I know it was kind of late that year when the NBA season started, because it wouldn't be until November that the season started. But Jordan announces his retirement and said that he lost his desire to play basketball. Okay, it's also important you know that was a very busy summer for him because his father was murdered 3 months earlier. So a lot going on in somebody's life, and this is the area where I don't even want to tread. I really don't. I don't want to, even decades removed, I don't want to go back into somebody's history and suggest that it wasn't because of that, because it very much could have been just that. Somebody in their early to mid portions of life, and they've just gone through trauma and a bunch of other things, and they're living a different lifestyle than you and I. So who am I to say that that's not the real reason why? But the timing of this, like going into a season, it wasn't like he got pulled from a season. This was an easy, if it was a suspension, this was an easy time to do it. Maybe the NBA found something during the summer. Maybe they found it the prior season. Whatever they found, and we'll get into some of the allegations, but also some of the actualities we know with Michael Jordan and betting in just a second. This may have been an opportunity for the league to say, ooh, clean cut, have him come out a month before the season and just say that he's not playing this year. We don't have to pull him. We don't have to yank him. We can cover this up a lot easier. We don't have to fake an injury. We can just say that he's lost his interest to play. He's come up with this reasoning, and we'll see what he does next. Eventually, he goes to play baseball. He joins the White Sox in February of 1994, and at this point, he's now saying that he had shared a dream with his father to play baseball professionally. So the father aspect, again, that's very sensitive. That's very emotional. I understand. Again, who am I to doubt his truth in saying that? His father and he wanted him to play baseball professionally. This was also the break, though, that he wanted from the NBA and burnout of superstardom that he said he was experiencing. But this came only 4 months after leaving basketball. Did Michael Jordan really get that antsy in the months of like October and November and December and January, where he was like, I got to do something? Hey, White Sox, Mr. Reinsdorf, can I go play baseball? Was it that simple? Like, it's amazing to think that most people want to take that time off. They want to lay low for a while. If superstardom was really bugging him, what did he think was going to happen when he went out there to go play baseball and do spring training? You think you weren't going to get attention? You think you were going to get out of the spotlight? In fact, more people are paying attention to you. If you were just starting an NBA season, oh, well, it's Michael Jordan. He's going to try and win another title. And he's got the gambling thing. And I know his dad just was murdered, unfortunately. But it's almost like you're getting more attention that you didn't want by going to play baseball. But maybe he could not slow down his competitive juices. And maybe some of this was a distraction from, hey, if there really was a cover-up going on with the NBA, maybe this helped it. Maybe this was just something for him to do. So I don't understand that part, but I do think the timing is certainly interesting, that if he really wanted to get away and he really wanted downtime, this was not downtime at all. Michael Jordan has some connections to gambling, had them in the past that we're very well aware of. In 1992, there was an NBA investigation that revealed $57,000 in golf and poker losses. Then in 1993, there were accusations that were published in a book of $1.3 million in gambling losses that were unpaid. I think that was for also golf and poker, if I'm correct, by a certain businessman. And then Michael Jordan, during, I think it was the 1993 Eastern Conference Finals against the Knicks, he was spotted in Atlantic City in one of the off nights of that series. People are like, wait, you're gambling during your playoffs, during the Eastern Finals? And look, it's somebody's free time. Who are we to say that you can't go out and enjoy yourself? But I'm not sure what the NBA guidelines were back then. I'm not sure what the actual rules were back then. I certainly don't know how that looks or comes across. Okay, but it also might suggest that he just could not get away from gambling and gaming. Or maybe he was just there to have a good time. But I get all of this. Like, if there was none of this, why would we even bring up the idea that Michael Jordan was suspended by the NBA and it was covered up? Like, all of this is the fuel to the fire, right? There were some other things that if you piece them together, they make sense. This is the backbone. This is the root, I think, of this conspiracy theory, which I'm just evaluating. I'm not trying to accelerate or propel it. But I think this is the backbone. People see this and say, well, there were some things going on here. There was a problem going on here. But was it ever too much of a problem? Is there something we also don't know about, and a penalty that we also don't know about? Like, for example, the NBA, when Terry Rozier recently was caught in basically helping prop bets come to fruition and not succeeding in games, like having turnovers and shorter minutes and leaving a game injured, when he was basically throwing an individual prop bet on the court, the NBA instantly knew about Terry Rozier's gambling influence right after that March of 2023 game. And then, as reported by Brian Windhorst of ESPN, they decided to have Rozier sit out the rest of the season with an injury, a cover-up. That's what Brian Windhorst of ESPN is reporting. Again, not my saying, not my words, not my reporting here. But if they've done it before, and how about with the referee scandal? Was that covered up for a certain period of time? Back in was that the 2000s? 90s, 2000s? All of that, like, there's kind of a repeatable pattern here of the NBA and how they tried to address some of these problems by saying, shh, going to keep this in-house. Not everybody needs to know about this. Now, the NBA has gone through multiple iterations of leadership from David Stern, the recently deceased David Stern, former NBA commissioner, now Adam Silver, who's in charge. So it's not like one person's been doing this, but maybe the league has been doing this. If they caught on to Terry Rozier that quickly, they're aware of things, they are paying attention to things, and they tried to suspend him immediately right after that. They did, but now we apparently know about it. I think with Michael Jordan, you have to understand back then, the NBA could not suspend him, even if they had everything lined up and said, well, you broke this rule, that rule, this rule. We have to suspend you. We have no choice. They also had no choice in not doing this. Like, If everything was lined up that Jordan deserved a suspension, there's no way the NBA could have gone through with it because they would never recover on a monetary basis, on an image basis. This was the superstar of the league. And I get it. You're talking about an era where Magic and Bird had recently existed and we hadn't really got into like Shaq or Kobe yet. But this is a time where Michael Jordan was number one. And if you had to do this to number one, it was going to have a lot of people asking a lot of questions, and the NBA was going to lose hundreds of millions, if not billions, in the long term of revenue because of the way this was going to make people feel. And partnerships and sponsorships, the league simply could not make an example out of Michael Jordan. Now, I think that's very true. If all of this lined up, right? And again, I'm not saying this conspiracy theory is true, but I do agree with this part that the league would probably have to look itself in the mirror and say, we can't do this to MJ. We can't. So how are we going to handle this? And maybe they realized, hey, getting the best of both worlds, suspend him, but don't tell anybody about it. Make him go do something else that he wants to do, and then eventually he'll come back, and we won't have the effect of losing something. So Michael Jordan makes his comeback. He faxes in those two words, "I'm back," right? On March 18th, 1995. He announces his comeback to the NBA with just 16 games left in the 94-95 regular season. So, like, what happened? Like, did he decide on January 1st he wanted back at it? Then he started training and he did his own training camp. Like, why March 18th? Why with 16 games left in a regular season? Why not just let the season finish out? Start next year. Is it because he always wanted back at it basketball? He wanted to get back at it? And this was the first opportunity? Was this, and I don't know the amount of games he missed, but was it like a 120-game suspension? Because if it was, this may have timed out, or a 150-game suspension. Yeah, that seems more appropriate. If he was suspended for 150 games, this kind of lines up to having 16 games left in this season. You see what I'm saying here? Why now? Why? It doesn't make a lot of sense. The Bulls, by the way, in that year, they do go on to make the playoffs. They were already very much a good team, but they do not win another championship. But Michael Jordan comes back. Here's the thing against the whole conspiracy theory. If Michael Jordan was truly suspended by the NBA, how many people actually knew this? How many people would have had to have known this? And how many people would have had to have kept this a secret over all these years? How small is the circle of trust? First off, I think it could be minuscule. It could be 5 people. But over time, right now, we've been several decades removed from all of this. We're almost 40 years, right, removed from all this. Over all that time, nobody got angry. Nobody decided to tweet something out. You know what I'm saying? Even on accident or in every podcast that's been done, there's been every single opportunity for somebody to let this slip. Nobody really has. Yet. So how small is the circle? Why has nobody said anything yet? This would make me think that if something really did happen over time, we would have found out about it. Although, given the ramifications of how big this was back then and even still, I think it's something that Michael Jordan and the NBA would obviously rather keep quiet. I don't think anybody wants to say, well, nobody cares anymore, so now we'll tell you. This is something that, if true, a lot of people have to take to their grave. So, hopefully I presented that fair. Again, I don't want to take a side in saying, oh, this definitely happened, or I don't know that I can entirely dismiss it. I just wanted to break all that down from my perspective. It certainly is an interesting thought and conversation, and I know a lot of people are talking about it, again, because just of what we've witnessed, again, the NBA with the gambling scandal that they tried to make go away, and maybe back in the day without social media, without a bunch of people talking about this, without a YouTube channel, maybe they did get away with it. They didn't hear with Rozier, at least from reporting, we understand that there was some behind-the-scenes maneuvering, but did they get away with it back in the day? Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Also, thumbs up while you're down there helps me the video of the channel. And if you're new here, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you back here next time.